I think Jeffree Star is handling his latest scandal brilliantly. But before we get into it, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Nick Zangel, and this is the place where we talk about anything from pop culture to politics. We do it open, honest, and unfiltered every Monday and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time. And so I know people are thinking probably, you are crazy for saying anything other than Jeffree Star is this horrible person. And I get it. People perceive his approach to his latest scandals with Shane Dawson, Shane's fiance, and with Trisha Paytas, and Jeffree's now alleged former wig employer, as insensitive and elitist and ignorant and out of touch, you name it, because he appears to be putting out content as if nothing has happened, and it's a little different from the past scandals that he's gone through. And in my opinion, this different approach is actually brilliant from a business and public relations perspective for Jeffree and his specific situation. Because from what I know from following news, pop culture news, and politics and whatnot over the years, it can go one of two ways, or you can take two different approaches. One, you can come out with this, what I'm going to call streaming-worthy performance, because we're talking about online culture, performance of an apology, regret, tears, pleading ignorance, begging for another chance, begging for forgiveness, whatever it is, and do it that way. Or you can try to pretend nothing has really happened, do the bare minimum behind the scenes, let everyone else keep talking about you, and wait for it to blow over while ensuring that your loyal fans stick around and support you. And it looks like Jeffree Star took the latter in this case. What he did was he doubled down and just kept the loyalists around by producing content as if nothing's really happening, or very subtly alluding to it, maybe, if that. And he knows people are going to hate no matter what he does at this point. So no matter if he apologizes or not, there's going to be people who probably were lost business or lost support forever, because he's already been canceled or at least attempted to be canceled multiple times in the court of public opinion, which we've come to find out over the past year, or even 4 years at this point, that the court of public opinion, the media, social media, can be actually more powerful than actual courts of law. So he appears to be winning in this way because he doesn't appear to be showing that it's affecting him in any significant negative way. And by Jeffree showing it isn't affecting him in this way, others talking about him and trying to cancel him are actually helping him win, because he obviously knows and loves that attention that he's getting, no matter if it's good or bad. And at this point, he knows the value of a situation like this, and it probably thinks of it as kind of society's social influencing gold at this point, because every other scandal appears to have only grown his business and grown his influence. And as far as the money goes, Jeffree already appears to be set for life, according to what I've seen floating around and what he's kind of put out there too. Whether his method and his approach to this scandal works out for the better or not in the public's eye. But according to some things I've seen, he has allegedly invested very well, to the point where he, even if the public part of his life and his business goes under or completely gets canceled and just is not profitable anymore, that he will probably most likely be fine for the rest of his life. But if he doesn't get canceled all the way, Jeffree has the money, like I said before, to be set for life or to restart. Enough of a fan base, I think, to keep things going, or at least start fresh or build up to another level. And if he is as smart of a businessman as he is perceived to be and people praise him for, then he will adjust based on what is happening, and in time he will probably get back to the level he was at prior to this scandal. Let's just say that his company takes irreversible damage from this situation. Well, some people can use it as leverage to kind of increase their footprint in the industry, whatever industry he leaves a little bit of a gap in. So now people can focus on companies that they do like, maybe start their own company or grow their existing one, and fill in that gap in the marketplace. So where one person kind of falls or gets canceled, if you will, there's always opportunity for other people to kind of pick up that where that person left off. And by the way, this is all if he is truly as rich and well off as we are led to believe from what he has put out there and from what others have reported on. So think about the level of comfort that someone like Jeffree allegedly has. And we don't even need to look that much further than what is going on with the Tati Westbrook and Without a Crystal Ball Katie Joy situation, which is that Tati has not posted new content in a long time, and Katie Joy from Without a Crystal Ball, who is being sued by Tati, is hustling every day, a lot of the day, to stay afloat. And if it gets bad enough, Jeffree, in my opinion, without a doubt, could do that. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when Tati comes back after the dust has settled over this lawsuit with her and Katie Joy from Without a Crystal Ball, because I think that will be the new standard, the new example, the new format, whatever, the new precedent, the new model for creator on creator disputes going forward. Because obviously we've had a few precedents as far as fair use and copyright goes with the H3H3 podcast and their landmark case that they actually won. And so I think maybe this is the landmark case, the Tati and Without a Crystal Ball, the landmark case for creator on creator hate or whatever the case may be, and may change the landscape going forward for commentary and what you can and can't say on YouTube. So it'll be very interesting to see how that one plays out for sure. Before we get into the next part of the video, where we talk about how this is going to affect different communities within the YouTube space in particular, if you think I've done a good job making my point so far, which is a pretty controversial point, I know that, but I had to kind of get it in because I didn't think it was all bad. And I thought it was very smart of what Jeffree is doing for his own personal life. But if you liked what you've seen so far, make sure to tap or click the thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the boxing glove if you're watching on Rumble to give this video a rumble, which is like a like. Or you can rate this on the podcast app that you are currently tuning in from. So how does this affect different communities on YouTube? Well, it is focusing people's attention on who is a fake friend and who is a real friend. It actually calls into question if you can even have true friends on the online space, but in a broader sense, if you can even have true friends with a business relationship involved. Because I think if that business relationship starts as a non-business relationship and was built on solid ground with clear boundaries, open communication, then I don't see how that's a problem. What is happening now is a lot is coming out about the two-faced behavior that is going on behind the scenes that we're just learning of between Jeffree and Shane and Shane's fiance and Trisha and the kind of wig person, whatever the case may be. So over the past year, virtually everybody in the world, either on or offline, has been basically unmasked, no pun intended, and it continues to happen. A lot of what is going on is people exposing their real intentions, their real behavior, their real thoughts, whatever the case may be, whether it's regarding to politics or the pandemic or people taking advantage of things. Maybe it looks really bad, and what the case may be. And so I believe this is all part of the growing pains of a society that's evolving. And so we are purging ourselves of anything we have been avoiding, whether it's the George Floyd police brutality situation, or we've been avoiding the fact that there's some really bad actors that have been doing a good job at acting, but they're slowly being exposed. And that includes in the digital world. So it could be these fake friendships that we see played out online that are actually not real friendships. And a lot of that kind of facade, smokescreen, fakery, kind of hiding behind closed doors or hiding behind a mask, if you will, a proverbial mask, is coming to light now. And it's going to be good in the long run, I believe. But of course, I think we're in the growing pain phase right now. And some other recent communities within the YouTube space and online where this kind of exposing has been happening and this uproar and this shift in what's happening is one, the anti-MLM community or multi-level marketing, and the commentary community. And I've touched on both of these subjects recently, so if you want, you can go back and watch those videos. But I think a lot of it comes from the fact that when we identify ourselves as part of a specific community, and that community starts acting in a way we don't like, or maybe there's people that also identify in that community that you're not too fond of, and they start kind of representing the community as a whole, and they start acting in a way you don't like, and it puts you in a tough spot. And it hasn't been more of a problem than it has been in the past year in a lot of different spaces. And speaking of community, I think a part of this that I want to caution people, if they are someone who has, and this is getting a little more specific, but people who are kind of, especially online and on YouTube, part of the community that identifies as an ally or as part of the LGBTQIA plus community, whatever the acronym is now, and them criticizing or some would say hate on the creators involved in this, who are all at some point have identified as part of that community. And the problem I have with people expressing themselves as these allies or as these champions is that when someone who also is part of that, as I alluded to before, starts acting in a way you don't like, and you, I don't want to say you're required, but you almost feel a duty to call them out. I think it's important to recognize that maybe just judging people based on this one thing, whether they're part of that LGBT community or they're not, is dangerous. And I'm trying to be more conscious of kind of these blatant blanketing statements for people. I understand why people claim or identify as allies of a certain community, but I think it's important going forward that we start at least having the conversation, or at least identifying that we hold someone's character at just as high or maybe even higher as what they identify as or what labels they put on themselves. Because if you're someone who says, I champion this person because they are part of the LGBT community and I'll never turn my back on them, and then they do something really bad, like that puts you in a tough spot and makes people maybe looking from the outside question if you're really an advocate because you turned your back on someone because they did something really bad. Granted, you probably should, because they did something really, really, really bad, like, I don't know, kill someone or like really just out of the norm. And so it kind of puts, this is why I push back on kind of the woke culture or the kind of stan queen idea, or idolizing people or treating people a certain way just based on one factor. I think including a few different factors: character, maybe their identity, maybe how they treat people, how they approach things, the way they think, their views on certain things, kind of factoring it all together instead of just taking one thing and basing your opinion on someone just based on that one thing. I think we can all benefit from doing more of that. And one of the last things I want to touch on is something I've heard another few commentary channels talk about, which is how will Jeffree Star use his charitable work in his favor in this case? Will he even do that? Because I think it's pretty clear, and he's talked about this from what I understand, that he likes to give back to charity, he likes to give away, and likes to help people around him and take care of people that have kind of been there for him. And so where is the line where that crosses into kind of bribing people or doing it for the wrong reasons, or doing it to change the public perception of who you are because you're going through a scandal? And so if you're a charity and Jeffree Star wants to donate to you, do you take the money or accept the money and just leave it at that? Do you accept the money and be concerned that maybe you will get some backlash? I know in the past he's posted about his charitable givings, and so will that happen ever again? Is that even smart? I don't know. That's kind of another factor I was thinking of, because some rich people use it as a tax write-off. So I'm curious to see what happens from here on out. We will see how this all plays out, but let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, if you're not already, if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to turn on post notifications. If you're on Rumble, you can subscribe as well. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast. hopefully 5 stars or whatever the max rating is, and leave a review. If you really want to ensure that we do not lose touch in any way, you can go to my website, nickzangel.com. That's NICKZANGL, spelled exactly the way it is on your screen. And it'll send you right to the front homepage, which will ask for just an email. Only thing required is an email, but I would love a first name or a last name. And press sign up. Go to that email that you signed up with. Click the red yes, subscribe me to this list on that confirmation email, and you will get notified whenever new content goes up every Monday and Friday. And it's a great way for us to stay in touch. And if you have a comment maybe you're not comfortable sharing publicly, you can do it through responding to that notification email, and we can have kind of a one-on-one chat that way. So I think that's a really great way to kind of get around a lot of the big tech censorship and anything that might stand in the way of us staying connected. So with that said, thank you so much again for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you all in the comment section down below. Bye-bye.